Hi there, John Leonard here. As we discussed earlier this week, I wanted to put together a video, kind of just walking you through some things I saw on your website that I think could really help improve your online visibility. So the focus of this video is going to be online, but I'm sure there are ways that you can, uh, kind of alter some of these strategies offline too. So I'm going to be going back and forth between different screens. But first, I'll start here on my whiteboard. So this is pretty much a list of observations I came across. So first, and this is we discussed this a bit earlier this week, really showcasing your firm's expertise. And there are a few ways you can do this. So the first way, I'll go back to the website. So you mentioned here that your team has a combined 65 years of experience. Now, I think that's great, obviously, but I think the next step would be creating a dedicated team page where you list all of the company's leadership. And on that, and on that page, you can actually, highlight, okay, this person has 10 to 15 years experience working just in oil and gas, or this person has experience at this company, at this well-known company, and adding those details, John, will actually kind of make you more personable, but also a prospective client will have a better insight on what would set your team apart from other firms that they may be considering. So, I would say just put a little bit more of your personal face and your team member's face on the website. I think can really help. And you might want to have start off with one team page, and then maybe later you have a individual page for each team member. But I think that's would be the next step to really showcase that expertise and that experience. So going back to my whiteboard, so content. So as you know, we talked a lot about content earlier this week, and there are different types of content that you can add on your site and on other kind of owned properties for your firm. And so, in marketing, we have something. Let's see here. It's not going to let me try it. Okay, 1 minute. I'm going to show off my fantastic artistry for you. So, in marketing, we have something called the funnel, right? And so, let's see here. Rotate, there we go. Yeah. And so on this funnel, there are going to be different levels. So you're going to have the top of the funnel, and that's where people pretty much learn about you. So let's say if I was a CFO, I had a little bit of extra time this Friday, I'm kind of just researching a web to see what's out there, that can help my company. And so the reason why I'm sharing this with you, John, is that each level of this funnel requires different types of content. So tofu, that's top of funnel, mofu is middle of funnel, and bofu is bottom of funnel. So your top of funnel content, it's going to be more informational. So let's say someone in oil and gas, they're having a specific issue with something HR related. You would create content around what that issue is and how they can address it. But the key thing with this type of content is that it's not overly salesy. It's really more for that person's education, your brand recognition, and really to kind of set a good first impression with someone who may become a client in 8 to 10 months. So that's tofu. Middle of the funnel, that's a little bit more salesy. So in these cases, you might want to create ebooks. So let's say, I saw that one of your target verticals is oil and gas energy. So maybe you create an ebook on, what energy company should know for their HR needs in 2020. It's just a topic I just thought of, but obviously something that's a little more detailed, but also can kind of put showcase more of your expertise in a specific area, and that's something that would be gated. So you would upload that to your website and have someone give you their email in order to download it, and that's one way you can build your email list. Uh, Also, in the middle of funnel, you might want to do case studies. So, people or firms you have worked with, companies you have worked with in the past, what were the experiences, what were the challenges, and how were your team able to go in and fix that problem? So case studies are always great. And then in the bottom of the funnel, this is really when you're trying to sign on the client. So maybe you put together a document where you're comparing your firm services with other well-known local firms or industry-related firms, and really the goal of that would be to showcase how you're different than these other firms, how you're better. So whatever that angle is, I think that would be a great type of piece of content for your bottom of the funnel. And so the way to think about this, John, is that over time, you said the typical time frame can be 9 to 10 months or longer. You're starting with some very educational content, not intended to make a sell, and then you're moving through the stages to where after you have engaged a prospective client for a course of several months, then you're sending them reasons why you're the best fit for whatever issue or problem they need to solve in their company. And this is, of course, you mentioned email marketing. This is pretty much email marketing, but kind of setting up your content so you're kind of driving them along that journey to becoming a client. So that would be my recommendation. One thing I did forget to mention, FAQ. So, I would recommend having a general FAQ page on your site and then having industry-specific FAQs, because I'm sure there are HR issues that arise in energy companies that might not be as prevalent in retail. So, and vice versa. So, really important that you showcase that you understand your target client and that you've produced content that addresses their needs or their concerns. And so, when you're looking at topics, that's the next step. What do you write about? Um, this doesn't have to be difficult. If you see something in the news that's trending related to your services, that's a great topic. If you look at some of your local competition, I would maybe just, take an hour or two, kind of go through some of your local competition's websites and see kind of what are they writing about, what type of content are they putting on their website. And the fact is, these three companies I pulled, they're, the top companies in Google. I did a search for a Houston HR firm, and this rankings, these aren't everything, but we can assume that they have this really good ranking in Google. They do have a large presence, and so they would be a good start, in regards to your content research. So these guys, they have a blog. What about Smarter HR? They have a blog as well. So these are all websites I would take a look at to kind of get some content ideas that you can apply to your own website. It's not as simply as just copying and pasting the topic. Obviously, you want to have your unique angle, your 65 combined years of expertise. What in that experience, you may disagree with something they said, or you might have a different process or approach to solving an HR related issue. That type of uniqueness needs to be prevalent in your content. Now, when you're creating a content, that's 20% of the job. 80% is actually promoting that content in places where your target client will see it. So you already mentioned that you're very engaged on LinkedIn. So I would consider, doing LinkedIn Pulse, and that's pretty much LinkedIn's blogging feature. So it allows anyone to go in and blog on, a topic that's related to their industry. You can run LinkedIn ads. So you can actually target, and I believe you're familiar with Sales Navigator, you can actually run ads to target certain positions in certain industries. And you can limit that to the greater Houston area, or if you do want to target other cities, you can do that as well. What I suggest, if you are considering the paid ad route, maybe, starting with a smaller test. So maybe just targeting Houston. And once you figure out what's getting people to contact you, you scale that and devote a larger budget to maybe all of Texas, or maybe all of the Gulf Coast region or something. But you never want to start at a super large scale. And then, of course, LinkedIn, they have groups, and some of these groups can be very spammy, but, it's definitely worth the time to find those groups that actually have a good exchange of information. It's not people just promoting their services, and then becoming the LinkedIn expert, or I should say the HR expert for that group. And it doesn't, I would say stay away from HR related groups, because you're pretty much competing for competition with other HR groups, but maybe finding LinkedIn groups related to energy companies or related to retail, and becoming an HR expert there. You're not competing with other HR firms, and it's a great way to add unique value to that group. And I understand your team isn't very large, so what I would say, maybe just have one person. This is what they manage. They own LinkedIn. And then the other platform that I recommended, Alignable. So it's definitely more local focused, but it's kind of the same idea. People ask questions that they might be having, or might ask about different challenges they're having in their business. And same with LinkedIn, someone on your team goes and becomes the HR expert on Alignable. So those are two platforms. I saw your competition. They are doing some things on Facebook and other social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram. But I would say, when you're starting off, pick one or two platforms, and then just really, go for it. Push the pedal to the metal. And I think that's the best way to see faster, more meaningful results. So those are my thoughts on establishing expertise. Now, number two, establishing a local presence. So when I Googled your firm name here, so your website comes up, that's great. But if your target is Houston, you should definitely spend some time on getting a Google My Business profile. And to show you what that is, take a look here. So this is an example of a Google My Business profile. Pretty much provides basic information, link to the website, and also reviews. And kind of, you scroll down here a bit, you'll see that this is a great place to share your content, because when someone Googles your firm name, maybe they heard about you, maybe they got a referral, but they still probably going to do their due diligence before contacting you or proceeding further in your sales cycle. This is a great way to showcase that content, so they don't have to find it. This is a free service by Google, so highly recommended if you are really targeting Houston area organizations. And I think it's a great way to establish more visibility. And to show you how, so this is actually, I did a search for Houston HR firm, and this little section here is called the Google Map Pack. And you can see here, Insperity, they're running ads, but you can see some of these businesses here that, they're categorized as payroll, business management consulting, and consulting. So, and they don't have reviews. So that tells me it's a really good opportunity to, really, establish your presence and do it fairly quickly. So the important part about this is, for everyone who Googles Houston HR firm or a related phrase, these 4 businesses on average are going to get 4 to 5% 40 to 50% of all clicks. And I'm sure you understand the more clicks you're getting to your website, the more opportunities you have for people to call you or to contact you, do the contact us form, or to subscribe to your email newsletter. So those are all, ways to increase your visibility. Now, since you're B2B, I doubt that someone would call you directly. Maybe they'll, maybe call for more information, but really the whole idea here is getting more visibility for your firm. And this is one low-hanging fruit way to do that. Going back to the whiteboard. So local citations. So I would highly recommend that you also get some profiles set up on companies or websites like Clutch, Manta, and really there's probably 50 or 60 citation websites out there that would be a good fit and would boost your local visibility. So I would definitely do that. And that's something, you can do manually, or you can outsource to a company who specializes in that. That is something that we do offer, not a shameful plug, but I think that would be a great way to improve your local visibility. Because think about it this way, John, if you give people more opportunities to find you, then more people are coming to your website or more people are calling you. If the only place they can find you is LinkedIn or your website, well, you're definitely limiting your visibility. So highly recommended you step up, work with your Google My Business and then the local citations. And then the last point in this list is press mentions. So one of your local competitors, or I should say one of the local HR firms, they have a whole page dedicated to their news coverage. And so they have been featured in industry-related publications, but they've also been featured in local publications like the Texas News. So I think, again, this is a great way to improve your visibility, both on the local level and in the industry-related level. So this kind of goes along the same lines of content, except instead of writing content for your website, you're putting together content that's on a larger publication. The benefit of that is that you are leveraging their traffic. They probably have a ton more visitors on a monthly average compared to your website. They just, that's usually the way it goes. Now, the SEO benefit of this is usually when you write content for a website, they'll link back to your article or link back to your website. So that's a great way to get what's called referral traffic to your site. And they've already read your content, so they already have, and if they click the link, they already have a good impression of you and your presentation. So that's definitely something I would go after, once you've covered some of these other bases with your marketing. And finally, number 3, setting up your website for success. So overall, I like what you all have here. I have the information that I need, but there are different changes you can make to make your site more SEO friendly. And so one of the things I saw right away is that you simply list in bullet format your different vertical focuses. And I recommend creating a page for each of these different industries. And here's why. When you have a page that just says recruiting, in Google and the search engines, you're pretty much competing with every recruiting firm out there, even if they're not direct competition, because maybe they serve a different clientele than what your team serves. So let's make that more narrow. So let's say you have a page called Houston HR firm. In that case, you are competing with all the firms in the greater Houston area. So that's definitely better. But even at, since Houston is a very large city, that can become overwhelming to actually see some traction. So what I recommend is that you create industry pages, and you can even decide, hey, let's have a Houston energy, or something like a Houston recruiting firm for energy companies. So that not only are you being vertical specific, but you're also being location specific. And so your competition level goes down quite a bit compared to if you're just targeting recruiting firm. So you see here, right now, I would say your site is competing for a recruiting firm. And what I would recommend, this is called your title tag, this little box that popped up here, making this something like Elysium Recruiting, and then something like Houston Recruiting Firm, since this is your main page. And then having a page for each of these different verticals, and it would be something like Elysium Recruiting, Houston Energy Recruiting Firm, or recruiting firm for energy companies, something like that. And I think that would definitely not only drive down your competition, but also when someone lands on that page and they happen to be a leadership member in a energy company, your content on that page is written specifically for them. So they're a lot more likely to convert because you provided them exactly what they needed. So highly recommend it, to kind of better organize your content at that level. I mentioned service, but I would say, if you do list your services, that's something where your experience can definitely be helpful, because if someone's looking for a specific service under the HR recruiting umbrella, or maybe that's not the case. In that case, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So other than that, I would definitely add some client testimonials if possible. I know sometimes there's a confidentiality agreement where you can't mention the actual company name, but what you can do is actually, maybe just put what industry they're in. So they're an oil and gas company in Houston. And but client testimonials, they can definitely be that social proof that a prospective client may need, that might be kind of that last step before getting them to subscribe to your newsletter or getting them to call you. And then lastly, video. And video is a great way, it's a great marketing asset because it's very versatile. You can stick a video on your website, and then you can stick that same video on LinkedIn or YouTube and other places for people to find you. I also like video because right away people will get a sense of what your communication style is like, what it would be like to work with you. And they're not working with your company, they're working with the people within your team. And so if you can come across as personable and be your, I would definitely say be your genuine selves, this can, push someone to trust you more. Or if there's something that really turns them off about your communication style, they'll know that right away, and they won't proceed further. So that might sound bad, but that saves you time, so you can actually focus on prospective clients who have a good chance on becoming clients in the future. So that's why I really like video. And then video, especially when you pair it with YouTube, YouTube is owned by Google, and so anything you do on YouTube is actually going to have an SEO benefit for your company, for your website. So, John, I hope this video has been helpful. Those are some high-level things I saw when I reviewed your website. So look forward to getting your response, and we can discuss next steps. Take care and have a great rest of your weekend.